It's been a while since Liz Truss left her position as essentially the Minister for International Trade for the UK, responsible for, well, getting and obtaining all these quote unquote fantastic new trade deals. And of course, under her watch, she quote unquote apparently negotiated the Australian trade deal, which again hasn't been signed yet. We don't know what the full details of it are going to be. And again, same for the New Zealand trade deal as well. We don't know what the full details are of it going to be. We only know partially parts of it, of what's going to be in there. But remember, we've seen these economic impact assessments before, not only from independent economists analysing this in international trade circles, but from the government's very own sources. These two deals add nothing. In fact, in a total, I think this probably adds something between 0.01%. Maybe it would be like 0.2, but you've got to remember the New Zealand trade deal, according to, again, official figures, actually has a minus number attached to it. you know, you can't make these up. But again, these are the quote unquote fantastic trade deals that we are meant to be getting. But of course, Liz Truss no longer in this position now, and of course, this has now fallen to the new member of this cabinet, of course, the last shake-up, called Marie Trevelyan. And of course, she's pretty much got to now pick up the leftovers and answer the questions that Liz Truss never really got, shall we say, pushed on or questioned about. So she's now going to essentially now pick up the pieces of all this. Now, some part of me does feel a bit sorry for her, but the other part of me is like, no, she sort of deserves this because, again, she was, a hardcore Brexiteer. And again, she's got to now defend this thing. What's the old adage? If you eat biscuits in bed, you've got to sleep with the crumbs. Well, Marie Trevelyan has now got to sleep with the crumbs, and now she's going to be pressed on these quote-unquote fantastic trade deals that all the Brexiteers said were going to be fantastic and amazing, and really aren't turning out that way. So, before we do jump into this today, please do remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. And also down below, there are links to my Patreon page and a one-off donation link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can, well, buy me coffee. And as always, thank you very much to all those people who do support the channel that way. So today we go over to The National, which is a Scottish newspaper. So their title for this is Marie Trevelyan can't answer a simple question on the New Zealand trade deal. So Tory MP Marie Trevelyan took over from the now Foreign Minister Secretary Liz Truss in Boris Johnson's reshuffle, and was unable to answer when asked if she knew what was the real term gain of the trade deal would be. Under the questioning from the chairman of the International Trade Committee on Wednesday, SNP MP Angus MacNeil asked Trevelyan, those floundered when she was asked to give an estimate on the increase to GDP from the deal. In October of this year, the UK government agreed the free trade deal with New Zealand, but there were still concerns raised about the overall impact this will actually have on farmers. Currently, only a tiny portion of UK trade is actually done with New Zealand. It is less than 0.2%. Appearing before the Westminster Committee, Trevelyan was joined by Matthew Davis, the UK chief negotiator at the Department for International Trade. MacNeil told the committee that he had previously tried to ask the Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, what the GDP loss of Brexit is compared to the GDP increase of the New Zealand trade deal, as is the liaison at the liaison committee. But Johnson didn't know the answer. He continued, for instance, given that it is 4.9% or 4% of GDP damage, what's the increase from New Zealand? So if it is £400, say, for every £400 or £490 lost to the UK economy for Brexit, what is the gain for the trade deal with New Zealand for the UK economy? Trevelyan looked towards Davis and responded, Mr. Chairman, I don't have those statistics. I can ask my chief negotiator, have you done or thought about it in that way? We can help the chairman with that one. Davis simply said no. He added, "We'll be publishing the impact assessment when we sign, and that's when we'll be assessing the GDP impact based on the deal that we will have negotiated." So even then, we won't be knowing for some time what the full details, what's even in this full trade deal. We know bits and pieces, but we don't know the full length and breadth of it until the deal is being signed. And then that's, of course, when we're going to get the impact assessment. So if this deal really is bad, obviously it's a government department. They're going to try and spin it up, but I guarantee you it's not going to be as good as, shall we say, they all think it is. He continued saying, "I know you'll be referring to the scoping assessment that was published previously at launch of the negotiations." McNeil could be heard saying, "I was," in response to Davis. Davis continued saying this, "But that was a static assessment based on a series of assumptions. And so what we'll be likely to be doing, as we've committed to with all our deals, we'll be providing a full impact assessment, which will orc out a range of impacts across the UK and New Zealand based on what's actually in the deal." So as you can see, the deal, what is in this deal, we don't know. Remember, when we were in the EU, all this was open. All this was conducted very much in the open. We knew what was going on in these trade deals. For example, the TTP deal, the EU was thinking about going into it, so they had to have open negotiations for it. Turned out not so good deal, and that's where a lot of the anti-TTP stuff in America actually came from, those initial forays into the deal around the TTP. And of course, that got scrapped and it's all different now, and it's all different. But yeah, that was obviously in the past. But now we are here with these deals, and again, looking forward to try and getting into what is now the new Trans-Pacific Partnership deal, which again is not going to benefit the UK in any way, shape, or form. It is only going to benefit those countries that are in that trade bloc. And again, it raises that question of why are we leaving a trade bloc, which is very good for this country, because it again is what we do most of our trade with, to go and join a trade bloc halfway around the world where we will get little to no impact from it. But again, that's the Brexiteers' grand dream of things. But of course, as we've said before, the Brexiteers obviously dream in colour, when in reality it's really in black and white, and they don't seem to understand that. Anyway, when he continued saying, so that's when we'll be able to sort of fully understand our best case for estimates. McNeil, pitching above, said he'd be very interested to see the figures as soon as they are made available. He said that the number that the government provides at the moment are for every £400 or every £490 that Brexit costs, and the New Zealand trade deal will make back £1. So I look forward to getting those figures when you have them. This comes as Trevelyan said that there isn't a downside to the UK-New Zealand trade deal, as she was challenged by MPs about the impact agreed with it will have on British farmers. And we were previously told how farmers have warned of huge downsides over the New Zealand deal. And they have. This is part of one of the big areas of issues and contention about this deal still, not only with New Zealand, but with Australia as well. The Tory government claims that the deal will cut red tape for businesses and end tariffs on exports, but the National Farmers Union warned it would have opened the UK markets to imports, while the nation's producers receive almost nothing in return. Trevelyan then told the committee that the deal was, quote, great for farmers and that the prospects for the sector will be written into the terms. The SNP's Shadow International Trade Secretary, David Hugh MP, hit back and said that there was no deal the UK could sign that would make up for what it was taken away through Brexit. He said experts have already dismissed the deal as very minuscule, and it merely serves as something that the Secretary of State for International Trade can spin off as a Brexit win. The trade winners and losers and the Tories seem to be hell-bent on making the UK losers time and time again. Far from even listening to Scottish business interests and then dismissing them, it is very clear that the stark warnings have all been expressed by all corners of the UK, and they are ignored as the Tories continue to sell out their interests. After all, the UK government's own analysis estimated that it will have almost a zero impact on GDP, and some assessments have actually shown a negative impact. There is no shying away from it. Brexit has been an unmitigated disaster for Scotland, and failing to acknowledge it in this reality only highlights how out of touch the Tories actually are. And of course, the only way to escape the long-term damage of Brexit is by Brexit Britain is by rejoining the new EU as an independent country. Of course, again, we've talked about that before. How difficult that will actually be for Scotland. But again, a lot of very, shall we say, pro-independence people seem to think that they'll just, ask and they'll just be allowed to waltz straight back into the EU. It's not going to be that easy. And I'm sorry, but that's the facts. So as always, these deals are going to be bad. We've said this, I don't know, hundreds, countless of times. Like I say, you may remember when I went heavily in to the Japan trade deal. The Japan trade deal was all complete nonsense for this country. Didn't even benefit any UK manufacturers at all. But here we are in this, as usual, bizarre situation. Once again, the Brexiteers desperately trying to spin these Brexit wins as again trying to post Britain as this magnificent trading nation, trading with all these other countries around the world, while not understanding about anything about trade gravity, or actually how international trade works. Again, it's a complete dream, and of course, as always, Brexit was always going to have a massive negative impact on this country as a whole. So as always, thank you very much for watching. Please do remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you all